Hello, thanks for mathing with me today. In this video, we will find products of integers by multiplying. The answer you get when you multiply two numbers or variables together is called the product. Each of the numbers or variables that you're multiplying together is called a factor. Grab some objects like some bingo chips. Arrange your objects in an array, like this. How many do you have in your array? And what method did you use to count your chips? Did you count each one like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? Or did you skip count 3, 6, 9, 12? Another option would be to multiply. I know that I have four rows and 3 columns, and 4 times 3 is 12. So we see here that I have 12 objects in my array. Recount your objects using each of these methods. Count each one, skip count, and then multiply. Pause the video and do that now. Hopefully you paused the video and counted your objects. Which method did you notice was most efficient? Multiplying, probably, and that is the basis of multiplication. Let's try some examples. Let's multiply to find the product of these two integers. In number 1, we have 2 times 6. There's a few ways we can think about this problem. We can skip count. We can think 2 6 times. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So 2 times 6 equals 12. We could also think about our array, 2 rows of 6 or 6 rows of 2. But ideally, these are math facts that we will memorize. So in number 2, we have 3 times 5. That's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So initially, you might want to skip count like that. Eventually, you'll want to just memorize that 3 times 5 is equal to 15. All right, now it's time for you to try some examples. Multiply the integers to find the product. Pause the video and try numbers 3 and 4. Hopefully you paused the video and found that 4 times 4 is equal to 16 and 6 times 5 equals 30. In the previous example, we had just positive integers. What we need to remember that is not always the case, right? Sometimes we're multiplying negative times a negative, sometimes we're multiplying a positive times a negative, or a negative times a positive. So we're not always multiplying a positive times a positive. What we need to remember here is that if the sign of the numbers is the same, then their product is positive. So if we have a negative times a negative, we get a positive. And if we have a positive times a positive, we get a positive, like in the previous examples. If, however, the sign of the numbers is different, then their product is always going to be negative. So in these cases, when we have a positive times a negative, we're going to end up with a negative product. And a positive or a negative times a positive, also a negative product. Let's remember these rules and try some examples. Let's multiply to find the product. In number 5, we have negative 4 times 9. Here we have one negative. Negative times a positive. Remember, the signs are different, therefore we're going to have a negative product. And then we can just think, well, we know it's negative. What's 4 times 9? 4 times 9 is 36. So the product of negative 4 and positive 9 is negative 36. In number 6, we have negative 7 times a negative 6. Here we see we have a negative times a negative. Here the signs are the same. So when the signs are the same, we end up with a positive product. And 7 times 6 is equal to 42. So negative 7 times negative 6 is 42. Now it's your turn to try some examples. In numbers 7 and 8, multiply the two integers to find the product. Pause the video and do that now. Hopefully you were able to complete number 7 and 8 on your own. In number 7, we had negative 10 times negative 3. The signs are the same, so we have a positive product, 30. Number 8, we have negative 6 times positive 3. Their signs are different, so our product is negative, negative 18. What if we're multiplying more than two integers? Here, we multiply 2 at a time and follow the same rules. When you first start doing problems like these, you might want to take it one step at a time. So I'm going to start by taking the product of negative 2 and negative 3. That's going to be negative times a negative, which is going to give us a positive. 2 times 3 is positive 6. And then I'm going to rewrite that second integer that we're multiplying. And now I have this new problem, 6 times negative 4. That's a positive times a negative, which is going to give me a negative 24. So take it one step at a time if you need to when you first start, and then eventually you might get to the point where you can do them more quickly or more in your head. For example, in this next one, I'm going to do it how I would kind of do it. I take negative 10 times negative 1. I know that's a negative times a negative, which gives me a positive 10. And then I take that positive 10 in my head and I'm multiplying it by a positive 3. That's going to give me a positive solution, which is positive 30. Another way to think of this is to count the number of negatives and positives we have. So counting the number of negatives we have 2 negatives in the whole problem. That's always going to give us a positive. An even number of negatives multiplied together is going to give us a positive product. Notice here, an odd number of negatives it multiplied together is going to give us a negative product. So in the original problem, we have an odd number of negatives. We end up with a negative product. In this original problem, we have an even number of negatives. We get a positive product, and that will always be the case. But you can never go wrong by taking it step by step like we did in number 9. Now it's your turn to try. Pause the video and multiply numbers 11 and 12 to find their product. Hopefully you were able to complete those problems on your own. And in number 11, we get negative 9 times positive 4 times negative 2 is going to be a positive 72. And number 12, we have positive 6 times negative 2 times positive 2 gives us a negative 24. My hope is that in this video you were able to find products of integers by multiplying. Thanks so much for mathing with me today.